What is energy? In this video, we will clarify this term as simple as we can, because we mostly classify them into many different forms: chemical, mechanical, nuclear, thermal, gravitational, solar, wind energy, and many more. Thinking that each form of energy is separate from the rest, but can be converted to other form of energy. And scientists up to this day are hoping to discover a new form of energy which are much more efficient and vast. Walter Russell's cosmogony is not just a work of one man. It is rather a work of a universal man, and it is available for all of us to know. When we understand what particle is, or what energy is, then our hope of a more efficient and seemingly new form of energy will replace our old ones, and a new form of civilization will rise from that understanding. At this point, we will simplify that those seemingly different forms of energy are always expressed in motion, and only through that motion can work be performed. Hence, we define energy as the capacity to do work. Think about it. Our concept of energy are solely based on motion. If the wind are static, we don't call it as energy until there is a wind current. We also don't think of electrical energy as energy when there is no flow of electrons. The water in the ocean, even though its potential is so vast, is rendered useless unless nature will set it into motion, like what nature did to its rivers. When the air are static, and when the ocean and the rivers are still, these static elementals will be of no use in aiding us to do the work for us. Yet the Creator has this one still substance only, like the still air or still water, but was able to create a magnificent universe out of it. Out of this still, one, conscious living substance lies an infinite potential in which the Creator ordained to do the work for him. What is his secret into unleashing the infinite power of this one static substance, and what is the use of that power? The answer to the first question lies through polarization. To polarize means to divide. I will run a series of illustrations to clearly understand this concept. Take a look at this spring. This spring has potential energy, but this spring will not perform work as long as it is still. To harness its potential, we must polarize or divide this spring by compressing it, and it will expand naturally when we release it. When we stretch the spring, it will also compress when we release it. In either direction, it can do the work for us. Another example is this clock spring. This clock spring cannot perform work in its static condition unless we contract or expand it. Same as this rubber band. It can perform work by hitting a target when being released from intense pressure. We can also apply this idea of polarization in our Earth's surface pressure of 14.7 pounds per square inch by compressing it to a much higher pressure, or expanding to a much lower pressure, and let it return to its balanced state and do the work while on its way towards or away from that balanced state. This is the secret on how Creator generates energy. Now you might be wonder that there are no surprise in what I have shown you so far, and these effects are not even unknown. The compression or expansion of the spring will still require a constant force to continually compress or expand that spring, so we can take advantage of its two-way motion. That is why we are so dependent upon what nature has given us, and we cannot go beyond what nature cannot give. Perhaps the next part of this video will help us move beyond. The one universal body is the body of the Creator. It is alive and it constantly breathes. By breathing means compress and expand. This compression-expansion also constitutes God's thinking process, which can be also called as concentration and decentration. God's thinking also constitutes one wave cycle of a crest and trough. As long as God lives eternally, He forever desired to manifest His ideas through thinking. God's thinking is the universal constant supply of energy. Like the wind that forever blows, or like the water that forever flows in which we can attach our machinery and will eternally do the work for us. The whole universe as we observe, as expanding towards so-called heat death as manifested by galaxies moving away from each other, is just a manifestation of the one universal outbreathing. It is just manifesting a half cycle of a wave in which its inbreathing is the other half. This one-wave cycle happens all at once in the entire universe is the constant supply of energy. This constant supply of energy reached us without considering the time dimension, but the potential is so low. We thought that the speed of light of 300,000 kilometers per second is the constant, but that is only true to our limited observation. This speed of reproduction of low potential energy supply is now beginning to creep our way towards energy reproduction, but that is only true to one side of the planet where sun shines bright. The universal constant supply of energy, where the speed is inconceivable, is accessible even to the night side of the planet, or wherever we are in this vast universe. In order for us to utilize this power, we need to correct various misconceptions we have acquired through eons of sensed observation, and we can't cover it all in this video. But one of the misconceptions is that light travels. Light do not travel. It reproduces from point to point. The light and heat we perceive from our sun is just a reproduction of intense motion upon Earth's surface. Another misconception is that energy varies. The universal constant supply of energy is all that there is. The variation of this energy is just an illusion due to changing dimensions. Let me illustrate this concept. The distance traveled or the energy expenditure between masses A to D are practically equal. At D, the mass appears to move fast because its area is compressed, while at A appears to move slow because its area is lengthened. When we total their area covered in unit of time, they would be equal. We can observe this effect in our solar system. We thought that each planet manifests a varying potential, but the truth is they are all practically equal. Mercury, a very compressed mass, revolves faster than the rest of the planets simply because it occupies a very compressed region close to the Sun, which is the region of highest density. Jupiter, an expanded planet, must revolve slowly because it occupies an expanded region in space. It must do so to keep pace with the area covered by Mercury. The universal constant supply of energy is all that God has to run the universe, and we now learn that there are no variations of this energy. Before we end this video, which we must because if we covered it all will take us towards eternity. We will answer the last question. God polarizes the one whole body of a substance to manifest motion. Due to this interchanging to weigh motion, minute vortices were created to simulate substance. It can be likened to a propeller of a ship which created bubbles as it passed through a substance of water. Those bubbles are not separate from the water because they are produced due to motion of the water. All of these particles that we perceive were just an effect due to motion. If it were not due to God's thinking that produces motion, creation could not be. Thank you and stay tuned for more.